Hi, Honest Discussioner here. I want to first start off with an apology to my regular subscribers, and especially to the new subscribers that are out there, or anyone that's watching me for the first time. This is not going to be the average Honest Discussioner video. This video is not going to be representative of what my channel is really about. I've been told by a good number of people that the reason why they like me is that I'm able to be very respectful and try to promote rational discourse between atheists and theists, to not resort to ad hominems or anything like that, to try to draw both sides in to have a actual discussion on the matter instead of just yelling. Now, this is not going to be necessarily one of those videos, and this time I feel it's a bit warranted. I also want to mention that this is not about theists in general. This is about one person individually who happens to be a theist, by the name of Theologica37, channel link in the sidebar. Now, whatever I say only applies to him. At no point do I want anyone to think that I'm trying to make any sort of generalizations, even if you agree with the points that he has to make. None of what I'm going to say is about you, because it's really not what argument he's making. It's really about the way in which he does it, and in the way in which I've seen him behave. So I want to make that point very clear first off. A little bit of backstory. I first met Theologica in the Stick'em chat room, Stick'em debate room with Midkiller. You can watch basically the entire exchange between the last 2 minutes of part 16 and then almost all of 17, maybe even going into 18. It took that long, and he basically asked me about epistemology. It's a recurring theme with him. And I felt as though I didn't adequately address his question, especially since I didn't know what the problem of induction was by name. I understood the principles. I'd actually done a video in the past on it called "We Can Trust Our Senses," and it was kind of on that means. And I didn't understand what the problem of induction was by name, so I did look it up. I realized that after I watched the video series again. I didn't look it up to get the refutation or anything. I just was trying to find a definition, and then I couldn't get back to the screen because I had like 20 different text things from the debate still open, and I got lost in there. Anyway, getting off topic. Then we met in the Stick'em room after the debate, and I wanted to address that. And he went on for a very long time on this, and it was basically him going, someone else going, and then it was just this back and forth, and he takes a very long time to make his point. Not that I can really say I'm concise by any means. But eventually people really just didn't want to talk about this anymore, and I asked him nicely twice not to, and he kind of refused, and someone, I promise it wasn't me, anyone can really attest to that because I really don't like to kick people, even trolls, someone booted him, and that was the end of that. Then he came into a Stick'em discussion like 2 weeks ago, and we talked for about 4 hours on the nature of my epistemology. We briefly touched on theism, but it was a 4-hour discussion, and no one else participated, which was really the thing I didn't really like, because I don't want, if it was going to be a discussion between me and him, and that was going to be it, I would promote it as such. But really, no one got up to dock. There was plenty of people in the room, but no one really felt like discussing this. It's usually not anyone's favorite topic. Now, I don't really fault him for that, but the thing was, he spent about 4 hours assailing atheism and discussing the reasons why it was inconsistent and all of that. And I thought after that, and I felt I had a decent grasp of what he was saying, and if I had a little bit of preparation, I could present it clearly, which I will, we should have a debate. And when I challenged him to one, he initially said he was interested, but declined because I am a proponent of the omniscience versus free will paradox, which is basically something that no philosopher really argues today, because it's already been refuted. Now, I never mentioned that I was going to be using this argument. The debate was supposed to be whether or not atheism is consistent and whether or not Christianity is consistent. I'd be arguing that Christianity isn't and atheism is, and yada yada yada. You get it. But I think it was very telling the way he didn't really want to do this debate, because this would have been a fair and balanced way to do things, to actually have a discussion. You have to be concise, you can't filibuster, you can't go on and on. Either of us couldn't do that, which I know I'm prone to do, and I know he is as well. And it would also be addressing both sides of the issue at the same time. And he really didn't want to do that. And after watching his videos, I think I understand a little bit better what type of person he is. And this is why I'm making this video. This is why I gave the apology in the beginning, because this is not necessarily going to be nice, but it is going to be at least honest on my part. And I'll admit I could be wrong in my assertions on him, but what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do what he does, which is to speak necessarily condescendingly about the person's intellect, but I'm going to be telling everyone exactly what I think of this person, this man known as Theologica37. Now, anyone that knows me here on YouTube knows that I'm all about having the discussion, but that's really not what I get from you, Theologica. I don't really get that you're about trying to convince someone of your position, more so just trying to show how right you are and how wrong they are, or at least trying to look that way. You're not about promoting communication and understanding between theists and having a basis of discussion that everyone can participate in, but more so trying to show off the size of your intellectual wang. And just like someone shallow enough to try to use their penis size to show off their masculinity, you're more than willing to use overly complex language, condescending tones, accusatory statements, and the most purest form of strawman argument I've ever seen, literally telling people as you're talking to them what they believe and then refuting their beliefs before they even get a chance to speak, to show off how smart you are. And that's why I use the analogy. How many times, Theologica, have you started out your point in response to someone else by telling them just how stupid their response was, or that their point was? I've noticed this quite a lot. And half the time you don't even really respond to them. You either just shrug your shoulders and rhetorically ask how they could possibly hold that belief, or perhaps just merely mention that it has already been refuted and doesn't really need to be addressed anymore, and then move on to, again, talking about how right you are. But either way, there's still this real condescending tone that's present in a lot of the responses I've seen you've made to various people, including myself. And if you don't mean to come off that way, you do.